Hey guys, it's Kelly here again and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another bullet journal setup video. So today we are creating my February spread for the year of 2019, and I decided to go something completely different than what most people will probably think about when they think of February. So most people, including me last year, always rush to create these pink lovey-dovey spreads connected to Valentine's Day, and I have to admit I did do that as well last year. And to be frank, my spread last year turned out pretty awesome, even though I never recorded it and I never uploaded it to YouTube. I will put on the screen just a few snapshots or just pictures of my spread last year, just because I'm really proud with how it turned out, and it was really cool. But again, it was way too pink and went too lovey-dovey. This year I went with something completely different, and I decided to create a steampunk machinery inspired spread. Now honestly, I really wanted to do this ever since December. Even I was thinking of using this idea for my January spread, but I was like, no, maybe start here with something more simple. So I created my winter theme, and for February I left the steampunk idea and the machinery idea. I do have to just apologize for a quick second. I am getting over a cold, actually over the flu. It's not even a cold, so my voice does sound a little bit weird and it comes and goes in unpredictable moments, so I do apologize if it bothers anyone, or the fact that my nose is a bit stuffy bothers anyone. I am sorry, there's not much I can do. I wanted to record this video and upload it before before the start of February, which will be basically a first for me because I always upload my videos later. But this time I am right on track and I am uploading it very earlier than the start of February. So if anyone would like to take inspiration from this spread, feel free to do so. I'm just happy to upload this here on YouTube. So like I said, the spread is steampunk inspired, and at first I was going to create this simple lines, not much details, and add just color as details. I wanted to make it look rustic and vintage with golds and coppers and all that color stuff and color schemes that you associate with steampunk. But unfortunately I was forced to use either my Copic markers or colored pencils, and I'm not really that good at colored pencils, and Copic markers bleed way too much, and I didn't want to stick pages together for this journal just because I like it so much, and it's only the second month. I'm barely scraping the beginning of my journal, so I thought I would leave the Copic markers for the time being, maybe use them somewhere in the future. So instead of colors, I decided that the other way that I could take this, the other direction that I can take this, would be a very sketchy feeling spread, just because, you know, it kind of steampunk reminds me with the machinery, bits and bobs. It reminds me of blueprints, it reminds me of science, and just schematics and everything connected to it. So that is what I went with, the sketchy style. If you do want to recreate this, of course you can add colors, you can do whatever. I just didn't want to use Copic markers, and I feel like using just regular markers wouldn't have made the best of colors, just because you know how yellow the yellows are and how brown the browns are, wouldn't have gotten much blending, and I'm really not good at doing colors without actually blending them. So even though I love the sketchy look of illustrations and spreads like this, I can't seem to figure out how to keep coloring simple. It's just something that I need to work on a lot. I have seen just people do these really sketchy, even the colors are super sketchy when it comes to art and illustrations, but I can't seem to figure out how they do it. So I don't know, maybe in the future, who knows. So the first page that, well, I actually just flipped through, but anyway, you saw what was going on. The first page is this big machine with these buttons and dials and pipes coming in and out of it. And on the left side I added a quote. That's something that I plan on doing this year. I plan on starting each month with a quote on the left side and just the days on the right side. And this month's quote is enthusiasm is the steam that drives the engine. Honestly, not my favorite quote, but I really wanted it to connect with the theme of the month, and I didn't really know what else. I searched for like engine quotes and steampunk quotes and machinery quotes. This is the one that kind of stood out to me the most, and it was simple, easy to just include it, just a few lines. And I do go back and add some more shading and more details to make it look even more sketchy and more like a blueprint. And I don't think I recorded this, or maybe I just cut it out. I'm still figuring out exactly what to cut out and what to include. Hopefully the footage is not too much. I wanted to include just enough so you can get an idea of how I created everything, but at the same time kind of cut out the more repetitive bits. On the second page, I always do my overview. And I went with, again, the blueprint vibe. I made this huge parchment paper that has been held up by two like scotch tape pieces and just a few rulers and a pencil. And I added this little clock in the right bottom corner. I wanted it to be a stopwatch, not a clock, sorry, it's a stopwatch, because again, steampunk kind of reminded me of it. And here you see me adding the sketchy details. I did, again, end up doing this on every single page and adding more and more shading and more details just to give it more of an authentic look. The next page that I have is my habit tracker, and that one I really love. I made this huge machine that is kind of like a what was it? A seismograph? I don't know what it's called in English. That's what we call it in Bulgaria. The one that, you know, tracks the earthquakes. That's what I kind of went for. Of course, it has nothing to do with it, and like the paper that rolls onto it is just, well, it has nothing to do with earthquakes, first off. But even so, I really love how it turned out, like this machine on top. I added some more details, and this is something that I do like to track: how much I draw, how much I take pictures, how much I go out, and when I actually work on YouTube videos. And on the bottom, I mentioned this in my previous bullet journal setup, I wanted to track how much sleep I get every month, and this was the only way that I could figure out to incorporate it into this month's theme. I do love it for the aesthetic side. I'm not sure if it's going to do exactly what I wanted it to do, but you know, I guess we'll see, and maybe next month I'll have some more ideas of how to incorporate it, how to track my sleep better, just because I don't think this is going to help me all that much. All I can do is basically track how many hours a night of sleep I get, which is again something, but not as concrete as I wanted it to, so I will keep working on it. Yeah, like I said, I am actually getting over the flu currently. I was going to record this actually, I recorded this a few days ago, but I was going to keep the voiceover for some other time, but I am trying to keep uploading at least once a week. So this week I had nothing else, and I'm not really in the condition to film a bookish video or just anything that requires me to stand in front of a camera and speak for like 20 or 30 minutes, just because I look pretty horrible. Not gonna lie, I look pretty sick. I sound sick and I look pretty sick, even though I'm feeling quite okay. I don't know why, but I was at work the other day and people kept saying how sick I was. I mean, how sick I seemed, which I totally didn't feel like I was that sick. But you know, when you actually don't have like makeup on or anything, you don't feel that great, and people keep saying that you look bad, it just makes you feel that much bad. So that was kind of a crappy experience for me the other day. My colleagues are not the most tactical ones, I guess. But yeah, my next page is my mood tracker, and I wanted to track just when I feel happy, sad, neutral, when I have a headache, when I have a stomach ache, and when I'm actually sick. I really love how this one turned out. It's got these little lab tubes, and they're kind of on this wooden block, and my idea is to fill them up with a different color for each day, so a stripe of color for each day where when I have a headache or I feel sick or I feel happy. So that was the idea behind this. I incorporated a future log. That is the first for me, just because last month I had so many things that got delayed and I had to move to this month. So I thought that for the first time, I thought that, you know, a future log is actually useful. I never used to think that it was useful. On the last page, I have just my social media tracker, which I had no idea how to incorporate this month, but I made it work kind of. I added these 2 Polaroids, and on one I added things that I've watched in terms of TV shows and movies, and on the other one that says posted, I'm going to track my social media. And I made a mistake, but like, you guys don't know that, but I spelled out the wrong thing to track, which is fine. I mean, as long as I know what I'm tracking, it's totally fine. And on the right side, I added these not tubes, what were they called, pipes, these pipes, and this was going to be my brain dump, but I didn't end up filling in my entire page for the brain dump last month, so I kept it more combined. So I have my expense tracker, which turned out to be very handy last month, on the top side, and on the bottom I thought that if I have anything, any quotes or anything I want to write down, I will try to write it down as graffiti, kind of graffiti on the wall. So that was my idea for this page. Yeah, I am actually almost at the end now. I had a lot of trouble figuring out how to film not the flip through, well, yeah, the flip through, but I wanted to do it in a more creative way, and I've seen people like kind of drive their cameras all across the page, but that does not work for me, and I have no idea how people do this. But with me, my camera was so shaky, my hands were so shaky, I couldn't get the focus right, so it was a complete mess. I have no idea how people do those creative kind of running their cameras over the pages. It looks so cool, but it looks cool when it's not super shaky and the camera isn't always out of focus. So yeah, that was no fun. Instead, I have a couple of pictures for you of all of the pages. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment down below what your sorry if you can hear my phone, forgot to turn it off. So comment down below what your theme for this month is, and if you like my theme, if you're going to recreate it or anything like that. And I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Hopefully I will be a lot better than I am now, so fingers crossed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.